Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what we're talking about is how to catch a triple tail here in Florida. Triple tail are one of those fish that are somewhere in Florida all year round, but temperature does matter. So in the coldest months of winter time, you're really not going to catch any unless you're somewhere down south or maybe offshore. They're real fun fish to catch, and they're actually real good to eat too. It's just a matter of finding them and targeting them. You know, when I see them, I'm usually fishing the flats or something, and some clump of weed or something comes by, and something funny looking is floating alongside of it. I think it's a big sea grape leaf or something like that, and when I get closer, it ends up being a triple tail. So that's usually when I see them. I've only targeted them maybe once or twice in my life, but a lot of people do. A lot of people have a good time. I'm going to tell you what I know about catching them right now. And we're going to talk about best baits and lures, where to catch them, when to catch them, and yeah, basically everything I know about them. So here we go. All right. Best baits. So how to catch a triple tail in Florida. Our best bait is going to be, if you can get them, live shrimp. And these are live shrimp. These aren't the select, those big jumbo ones. You want to have small and medium-sized shrimp because for the most part they have a small mouth, and the ones you're going to be catching are probably somewhere between 2 and 10 pounds anyways. You can also use a small blue crab. Fiddler crabs work just fine too, and any white baits. So it might be, a pilchard, scaled sardine, whatever, something, but you really want them to be smaller sized baits. So you want to have something that's going to be less than 3 inches for the most part. As far as best lures go, well, you want something that looks like a shrimp or some sort of paddle-tail shad type of soft plastic, like a DOA cow, something like that. And little tiny gold and silver spoons will work well. I have a few of them here out of my tackle box I want to show you that work just fine. I got DOA cow. Those are the 3-inch. White is what I use, with a red jig head right there. And those are 1/8 ounce jig heads. Any sort of shrimp, fake shrimp. This one, I don't know who makes that one actually, but DOA Cal has a good one. And I like these ones too because they're just smaller. Who does these? Tsunami. So I got these, and they're just a little bit smaller than the normal ones. When I'm targeting something like a triple, when you're targeting something like a triple tail, you'd want the smaller version of them. I know DOA Cal has a 2.75 inch, 2 3/4 inch shrimp you can use. Here's a gold spoon. This one's weedless. This is one I use for redfish and stuff. You probably wouldn't want the weedless one, but that's the only one I had in my tackle box to show you. So, gold spoon, small gold spoon. And the reason I'm showing you the popping cork is that's a great way to fish these. So you would cast that past the buoy or wherever the fish is, and use your popping cork to get it back and keep it in the strike zone. And that's what I'm going to cover next, is where to catch them. Well, it depends on where you are. If you're fishing for them inshore, it's a pretty safe bet if they're around. They're going to be around some sort of structure, like could be bridge pilings, it could be dock pilings, pier pilings, anything where there's deep water adjacent to it. So they're just going to be hanging out there, kind of laying on their side, catching some sun, and acting like a piece of floating debris for 2 reasons. 1, to hide from predators, and 2, to hide from their prey. So the prey will come and actually sometimes take refuge in the shade underneath them and turn around and get eaten. So inshore, that's really where you're going to find them. Something like that. If there's like a palm frond floating, they might be next to that pond frond, or a clump of dead seagrass or something inshore. You might see something that kind of looks like a big leaf or something weird next to them, and a lot of times that'll be a triple tail too. So that's really where you're going to find them inshore. Another great spot, probably what most people relate to triple tail, is any sort of crab pot buoy. So they like to hang around the crab pot buoys trying to ambush little crabs, little shrimp, little fish that are kind of hiding from predators around those buoys. So those are the places you want to find them. When you go offshore, anything tethered to the bottom. So any of those, big buoys out there that they have. If you're in the Gulf of Mexico somewhere, out by Louisiana, Texas, they always have those offshore rigs. I guess they catch a lot of them off there. Offshore, what I'm used to is, around, in the Atlantic, is going to be some sort of weed line. People think weed line, they think dolphin, right? But there's tons of triple tail on those weed lines. A big pallet, a big sod pallet, a big, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be just a piece of plywood. A lot of times it's going to hold triple tail offshore, and that's what you're looking for, because you got to find the fish first. And you also need to know when to find them. Well, basically it's like this. In the wintertime, say January, February, when it's super cold, you're really only going to find them if you're somewhere down in South Florida. So you're going to need to be somewhere, down in the Keys, or I would say basically, Palm Beach County, Martin County tops, down, if it's really cold. So January, February type. You're going to catch more of them down there. You might catch an occasional one, or you got to be offshore. And as far as how to, it's a pretty simple thing. Let me show you. I'm going to draw you a scenario. Okay, so here's going to be a real common scenario for you, right? Get your little crab trap, right, down at the bottom. It's tethered to a float. And what you're going to find is your triple tail is going to be hanging out by that float, waiting to catch something to eat. So that's really what you're looking for. And all you have to do is present. You want to cast past the float, right? So the current's going this way. You just cast past the float and bring your shrimp to the fish. That's it. That's what you're doing. So you want to keep it in this zone, right? If you spook them down, you can come back, 5 minutes later, and they'll probably be right back up by the top again. But really, that's what you want to do. That's why you'd want to use maybe that popping cork or just free line of shrimp. Cast it past it, bring it in front of the face of the fish, and catch the fish. You want to have your tackle downsized too. I would use a 2/0 circle hook. I wouldn't really even go 3/0. I'd go 2/0, maybe 1/0. Depending on what you're catching out there is what I would use. And, for the most part, again, depending on what size fish you're catching, I don't know. I don't think you would ever need anything more than a 4,000 series reel. Probably 2,500 to 4,000, maybe 4,500 is all you ever need, depending on the size of these things. Now, the record in Florida is 40 pounds. Almost 41 pounds, like 40 pounds and 13 ounces. So they can get pretty big, so obviously you beef up your tackle for that. But here's one scenario, and I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to show you another scenario about how you spot them. All right, so a lot of people want to know how you spot them. And what these little circles here are a crab trap line. You see those, say you're in the Gulf side. You see them more often where they go for miles and miles and miles. So, they're not always around them, but say every 10th or 20th one might have triple tail on. There's my triple tail. So all you want to do is cruise on plane, not too fast where you can't see them, but, slow enough where you can, you got to be able to see, fast enough where you want to cover a lot of water, but slow enough where you actually be able to see them. I think you got to be within about 30 feet of them. You're really not going to spook them too badly if you do that. So you're up on plane. You're just cruising around, you spot one, well, just come back around, make sure it takes 4 or 5 minutes, and he's probably back from being spooked and he's right up towards the top, and then you can pitch your lure or live bait to him or whatever it is. But that's what I think is the best way to actually find him if really where you're looking for him is the crab trap lines that are out there. As far as best tackle goes for these guys, right here is what I would use. This is a 3500 series reel. This is a 7.5 foot medium heavy action rod. And I would fish with them with maybe 20-pound test and a 20-pound leader, unless of course it's the bigger ones. But I just really don't think you need too much for them, because most of them you're going to catch are going to be 2 to 10 pounds. So, if you had 2,500 up to 4,500, you're fine. But 3,500 is kind of right in the middle there. So if you're actually going to go out there and target them, you probably only need that. I'd probably have one rigged up if I had live shrimp, ready to pitch a live shrimp, but if I ran out of live shrimp, the other one would have a fake shrimp on it. And they're all over Florida except for in the wintertime. So you just have to be down south in the wintertime. But, by the spring, they're all the way up in Apalachicola and all these places, the northern Florida. So you can catch them the rest of the year. I think they go up as high as North Carolina. And I know they get over there towards Texas and all that stuff too. So they're around, they're all over the place. But they, you just got to be able to find them. You just got to be able to find them. They spawn here in Florida in the middle of the summer. So July, August would be when most of them are around. But that's just about everything I know. I'm trying to think of different stuff to teach you, but if I don't know it, I can't teach you, right? So I think that's it for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. Just go to our website, www.fishyourassoff.com. Find out how to catch all kinds of different fish around Florida, triple tail being one of them. But that's it, so I'll see you soon. All right, bye-bye.